guest today is Lebanese, teaches Arabic, has a PhD, and is a founder of Globetrot with Arabic.
Chaghig, thank you very much for taking the time out to have this conversation.
Just to start off with, I just wanted to give you an opportunity really to introduce yourself and just give us a background about who you are and your story.
I'm Chaghig. Most of my friends still can't pronounce my name. So I'm Chaghig. I live in London. I am Lebanese, but I also have Armenian roots. I've been here for almost 9 years. I came initially to study, and then different doors started opening, and here I am working as a teacher online and teaching my language to people from all over the world, basically.
Okay. Quick thing, you gave us a background. You talked about you being Armenian and then with the Lebanese. So in terms of the differences between the two, just explain, is there similarity or very major differences between the two cultures, or they're very similar?
Okay, let's talk about the culture. Of course, now, because there has been a long Armenian presence in Lebanon, more than 100 years, and actually even more than that. But the main presence has been for about 105 years and a bit more. So, of course, now the cultures have a lot of similarities because they live in the same region. But linguistically speaking, the languages are very, very different. The alphabet is very different as well. So Arabic is a Semitic language, whereas Armenian is an Indo-European language, and the letters look completely different. Some of the sounds are completely different. So no, the languages are not the same. But cultures now are very similar. It depends also on where Armenians are. If they are in Lebanon, they take the culture of Lebanon. If they are in the States, maybe they take the culture of the States, or depending on where they go to, they merge. You see what I mean?
Okay. And then from Lebanon, you then moved to the UK. How did you find that transition from?
Initially, it was very easy. I was a very open person, and I'm open to adventures. But I think the more time goes by, the more difficult I find it instead of easy, because I long for my culture. I miss my culture. And when I say culture, I mean Lebanon, because of course I'm Lebanese. So I miss my home, my people, my friends, my family. And I find the cultures very different here and back home. Very, very different.
And when you say different, I mean, like, for me, what is the things that you say, okay, if you're to point out the things that you do miss and you say, like, what would be your top 5 things that you think?
Of course, we can't generalize, first of all, because, in the UK, especially in London, you have everything. You would be on a table with 10 people, each one would come from a different background. But generally speaking, there's much more warmth in my country where I come from. We even have a saying that goes like, neighbors are for each other and even before family, which means, for example, if I'm walking in the streets and one of the neighbors is sitting on the balcony, the first initial reaction would be, oh, come over, you're welcome. Even if you don't know people, they would just greet you and say, oh, come on in or join us. Or there's a lot of warmth, especially because I come from a village in Lebanon, and it's much more warmer than a city. And the neighborhood, all of us are like a big family, basically. And we grow up together, and we're still very close to each other. These are the things I miss, and mainly the generosity back home. The Lebanese culture is very, very generous and giving, and I miss that.
When you say you miss, are you surrounded by family here, or all your family?
All my family is in Lebanon. No.
So you're the only one here?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. When you came to UK, you continue with your studies. I understand you also have a PhD. Do you want to give us a background or how that all started? Did you came here? I understand you came here with intentions to study, but why those subjects?
To be honest, it was just a coincidence. It's not like I was very passionate about the subject that I was doing. I was thinking about a way to travel abroad and have an independent life and continue and the only way to do that was through continuing my education.
Yeah.
I started applying here and there, and then I received like the acceptance from Birkbeck, University of London, to continue an MA in intercultural communication. So I did that, and then later on, there is the Gulbenkian Foundation. This is an Armenian foundation that helps all the people around the world from different nationalities who have Armenian roots, who have an Armenian background. They help them with their tuition fees, and they fund all their studies, provided they choose a topic that is related to anything that has to do with Western Armenian or Armenian. So in my case, I chose the Western Armenian language, which is the endangered language. And I pursued a PhD in language, discourse, and communication. And I studied the situation of the Armenian language, specifically the Western Armenian language, and how it's changing. And it's an endangered language. And I was looking into how people speak it, how different groups of people speak it, and how do they connect with it, and like the sense of belonging that they have to it, basically. So this is how it all started. So I think it was more of a coincidence. I'm not going to be dishonest and say, oh, I was very passionate about the topic. I wasn't. Then with time, I started to like it. There was ups and downs. There are times I really, really didn't like doing a PhD at all. Like I felt, oh my God, I wish I can just finish with this and that's it. I don't want to look at it anymore. But towards the end, I started enjoying it towards the end.
There's a couple of things in there. When you're doing a PhD, and for anyone who's interested in doing a PhD, is that what was the bit that you didn't enjoy? Was it the subject? And then also, what flips for you to say, I'm not enjoying now, I'm enjoying? Is it external factors, or was it the factors within the subject?
Okay, are you saying you did enjoy or you didn't enjoy?
Yeah, because at the beginning you said that you weren't enjoying it. Towards the end you said you did enjoy it.
Yes, because when you start feeling that, okay, it's all becoming, it's like pieces of a puzzle coming together. It's making sense. So you start enjoying it, and you start feeling that, okay, you're actually not as bad as you think you are, because you always have self-doubts when you're doing something, or especially when it's something challenging like a PhD. And personally, I'm not the kind of person who was, I'm not an academic person in my character. So that's why I wasn't enjoying it. Like comparing myself to other people who were doing this, they would breathe and eat and do everything their PhD. Myself, I was more into dance and music, and these are the things that I really love. And doing a PhD for me was a huge struggle, but I did it. And if I do it, I think anyone can do it.
It's a fantastic achievement, and it's also interesting in that when you look about it, the things that interest you were external, but through that you also found a way to find enjoyment at the end of it, because things start to make a lot more sense, and a lot of things that sounds like the things that were making it what you weren't enjoying, and correct me if I'm wrong, were things about how you saw yourself more. Is that right?
Yes, and the thing is that maybe I wasn't enjoying the PhD itself, but I was enjoying everything else that it was giving me. For example, my life in London, the people I met, the kinds of dances that I discovered, for example, and so a lot of things on the side.
And then from there, you transitioned from doing a PhD, and then you started teaching. So how did that transition happen for you? Was it again by accident, or was it more something that you had thought about and planned as well?
No, it was also like not a plan, but not an accident. Like maybe another. And sometimes, you just, an idea comes to you and you say, oh, why don't I do this? And then you start and it works,
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't really like a transition. I can't say it was a transition because, it's still in languages. I still work with languages, and everything that I studied had to do with languages as well. So they are kind of connected. They are actually very, very connected. But the way I started to teach Arabic, my language, is because When I came to the UK, I thought, what can I do? What can I work? I can't teach English because I don't think my English was that great to teach in the UK because obviously people here speak much better than me. So I thought, okay, I can start teaching Arabic. And I started applying here and there, sending my CV randomly to different universities until one day I got an email from the University of Westminster saying, we're interested in interviewing you. And I was traveling the next day and I told them I can't come and I will be away for 2 months. Can I come now? And they were like, yes, if you want, you can come. And I went, and I wasn't looking very decent for an interview.
Yeah.
But I think actually they appreciated the fact that I said, okay, I can come now, even if I can't make it next week, you know? And it was a very, very nice conversation with a very nice lady who retired on the same year. And from there, things started flowing. I then started, when you have on your CV that you teach Arabic in a reputable university, then other doors start opening very easily. So I started getting emails from people without me even applying for jobs sometimes. Maybe them seeing my CV somewhere, maybe on LinkedIn or something. And then I started teaching in the Foreign Office. I worked almost 5 years there with diplomats who are posted to Arabic countries. And I teach them the Arabic language, basically. And now I do it on my own.
So that was the connection, isn't it? So to move on to how you started Globetrot with Arabic.
Yeah.
Is that the name? Is that the name of the company? Have I got it right?
Globetrot with Arabic, and I was very intentional with the name.
Yeah. What gave you the? It was like obvious step from where you are. I mean, it kind of it does make sense. But what gave you the name and the idea to start going off and teaching by yourself?
The idea was to be in charge of my life and my time because I don't want to spend my life working for others, or I'm not a 9 to 5 person, and maybe I might be a 24-hour working person sometimes. I'm exaggerating, but sometimes I work much more than 9-10 hours in 13-14 hours, but at least it's my own time. I'm doing something for myself, and it's a work that is mine, and I have my freedom. And the reason why I called it Globetrot with Arabic is because I didn't want to be bound with time and I didn't want to be bound with space. So just like Globetrotters, you can go explore the world, and at the same time you can be working or you can be studying a language. So it's both for me and the people who want to learn a language even when they're enjoying life or
There are a couple of things there that resonate with a lot of people. One of them is the personal need for space, freedom, independence. And the other one is the ability to travel, which is also a sign of independence as well, isn't it?
Yeah. A sign of independence, traveling, maybe, or
freedom.
Yes, it can be a sign of freedom, yes. And knowing, like discovering things as well,
Exactly. I mean, when I say independence, I'm more thinking around those people that you meet, that I've met in the past, who are traveling the world to learn about different cultures, different languages, and it's you see them with their rucksack, meeting new people, and it's that kind of free. You get the sense that they're seeking that freedom, that adventure, and that is what
100%, and it's something like we aspire to, because even if I call my little baby Globetrot with Arabic, I'm still not the kind of person who travels a lot, who, I don't know, explores so much. I travel normal, just like any other like normal person basically, but I'm still not the kind of person who saw a lot in this life or a lot of countries in this world. There's so many things that I still haven't seen.
Go on.
Yeah, and I would like to see. That's it.
Okay, so that is the end goal. In future videos, we're going to see more of you around the world. Is that the plan?
if the opportunity allows, and if there's so many elements, you should be financially stable, you should have the time, you should have the opportunities, if all of this allows, maybe, why not, but there are other things that I have to work on and other priorities before I start, taking bigger steps that I still can't take at this stage.
So give us an insight on what you've envisioned with the classes, the Arabic classes, and where you want to get to, or what's the big idea for
Oh
you?
my God! Like in what sense? On the on a
Yeah,
personal level,
what does good look like to you?
I think my standards that I want to achieve are quite. I don't want to say like high, but like they're a bit more than a normal like a regular like common people want to achieve. You see what I mean? I want to achieve a stage where, okay, on a personal level or in terms of work, there are so many things we can talk
Okay,
about.
let's layer this. Let's talk about the personal level, which
Personal just within work.
which influence your work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Okay. So basically, in terms of work, just work as Globetrot with the Arabic, I want to reach a phase where I can teach just passively and start making an income without having to trade a lot of my time for an income, because that's what I mean by freedom of time, because
Okay.
my dream is to achieve a stage where I have the stability, but at the same time I have the time, because a lot of people have the stability and a very good income, but their life is so difficult because they have to devote so much time to work. So though I love my work, really, I love what I do, but I don't want to spend all of my life doing just that. I want to be, I want to buy time as much as I can. Okay, this is in terms of work. So that's why I'm at the moment working on courses where I can put online, and people I don't have to be there directly to teach people, but indirectly. So these courses will be me teaching, like videos and audios and books and all of that. I'm working on them at the moment. So it's a way for me to make a passive income. And on a personal level, when I say good, I mean it's also related to work. At the moment, I relate everything to work to create a better life, So when I say a better life is a life comfortable enough when it comes to finances, comfortable enough to make me, my family, and when I say my family, every person in my family, my siblings, my parents, and some of my loved ones, even if they are not from my family, I want to make all of these comfortable. Like as if I'm someone who has more than one family, and I am the caretaker of these families. Like, I love them. So that's something I would like to achieve and give everyone around me a comfortable life. So this is something I would like to achieve. This is something achievable.
That also is something that resonates with a lot of people, and that you started the conversation at the beginning mentioning that they were high. You had these high standards, but when I listen to them, that you talk about what sounds to me like having a balance in life, not necessarily dedicating yourself to your work, but being able to do other things outside work. You talk about supporting for your family and caring for your family. Again, those are things that resonate certainly with me, and I'm sure with other people.
Yes. And there are other things that I think about, but these are really, these are like just dreams, and sometimes even like not even achievable at the moment. So I prefer not to talk about this for now.
Okay. No, that's fine. Could you give us an insight into the journey of actually developing Globetrot with Arabic, and what sort of lessons have you learned? So if I'm sitting there next to you and I'm trying to do something similar, or something not even similar, but something from myself in terms of developing content, what things would you say you've learned, things that you can share and say, these are good lessons that you should consider?
Okay. First of all, I'm still learning a lot, because I'm in the beginning and I am nowhere near someone who has achieved something important. You see what I mean? It's important to stay humble as well because I'm still in the beginning. But I can tell you that the most thing that I can tell anyone who wants to do this is that it takes time, and sometimes it takes much more time than you can ever imagine because especially if you're doing everything on your own and you don't have the ability to hire someone to work with you, you will have to be doing everything on your own, and it takes so much time. The things that I learned, every day I learn something new in terms of how to do the marketing, in terms of how to design the content, in terms of what to include in the content, how to edit a video, how to everything from A to Z. So yeah, if you have to be
If
yes.
in terms of like, so, I agree with you, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with you because it was not a case of, because so much you see is that people always show you the end result. Look what I have achieved, but no one explains the actual journey. And it's that journey that I think is critical, especially for those people looking. If I'm looking in at someone like me, I'm interested in looking in and things and really understanding what is the mechanism that gets you to point X. And the fact that you are, if you're looking at this as a 400-meter race, you're at the 300-meter line, I'm at the 400-meter line. You've been through that journey already, and it's understanding what you've encountered. That's to get you to that point. So when you say about the, having to learn, I guess that's something that is very important with anything that you do is that you never stop learning if you want to get better at what you do. Is that what you're suggesting, or is it more to that in terms of your message?
Actually, when it comes to learning, you will automatically learn a lot when you create a business. When people sometimes you see these quotes here and there, like learn something new, do something new, but this is part of your life when you start a company or a business. You eat and breathe something new every single day. So that's a result of something. It's gonna happen. So, but I don't know if you want to be specific about creating a business online. Some of the things that I can give you in a tangible way, okay? Say you are someone who wants to create a YouTube channel and create videos on YouTube. Firstly, you have to know it takes a lot of time. Second, you have to be very, very consistent in what you do. For example, you can't create a video this week and then, okay, you know what, I'll leave it and I'm gonna put a video in 4 weeks or even, I don't know, 2 months or 3 weeks or 2 weeks. No, you have to be consistent. You have to at least upload a video every week once at least. And if you can, 2 to 3 times a week, that would be ideal as a start. There were times I was trying to upload 1 video every day, and this was pushing my channel forward, but really with very, very, very slow speed. Imagine with doing all of that, it's still slow. So if you're not persistent, if you don't have consistency of putting some work out there at least 2 to 3 times a week, then it's going to be very difficult to build something.
That rate of output is that, how did you manage to find the content? Because I mean, language is a very wide subject. I guess there's a lot of material there, but why do you find the content that inspires you, and does it inspire you? I'm kind of asking questions suggesting that you are inspired by it, but
yeah. So the thing is that initially I was teaching mainly the standard Arabic language, which is the language that is written in magazines, journals, newspapers, books. We can say it's the formal Arabic language. But the problem with this that it's only written and read. It's not spoken. So for example, if I try to speak that language to any normal person in the street, they would laugh in my face. It's like you're trying to speak Shakespeare's language in London.
Yeah.
It's so unnatural.
Yeah.
So I was teaching that, but at the same time, I was teaching my own dialect, which is the language. When you want to talk to the people's hearts and emotions, you speak the language they speak. So that's what I was doing at the same time together. So one day I would upload a modern standard Arabic video, and another day I would upload a Lebanese Arabic video. But with time, I realized that people actually are liking my Lebanese videos much more, and there is a gap in the market of this, because yes, there is a lot of people who are teaching the standard language, but very, very few who are teaching the dialect. So I started doing this. From there, I started creating content that is related really to things we do on a daily basis. I would, for example, be sometimes in the summer, for example, there was a time I was at the beach. So I would just grab my camera and just start vlogging and saying things like, okay, this is a boat, this is a beach, this is this. So like really the simple things that people like to learn. I would go to the fruit market and say, okay, today we will learn the names of fruits, and I would start, So it's just basically content that you use every day in your life, basically.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm doing something, I make a note of it. I say, oh, okay, this is nice to teach to my students. Or maybe I say a sentence to my sister on the phone. I say, oh, you know what? I'm going to teach this today to my students. And this is how I find my content based on natural events.
And that's a demonstration of the learning as well that you referred to earlier on, because when you were speaking there, you kind of suggested that you're teaching two types of dialect, correct me if I'm wrong, but then you realize quite quickly is what people are enjoying is Lebanese day-to-day way of speaking.
That's the dialect, but the standard language is not a dialect. It's the common language of all Arabic countries. It's just the common language that we use formally to learn at school or to use in books and magazines and newspapers, but it's not the spoken. No Arabic country speaks it, basically.
As you said before, it's like speaking Shakespearean language. It would be interesting actually to hear those differences, and I urge anyone to go and watch some of your YouTube videos. Especially you did a YouTube video with, is it Big Juice or someone? I can't remember
my friend who has a podcast. Yeah.
And you cover this in great detail about the differences in the dialects and stuff. It was really an interesting conversation that you were having with them. So in terms of lessons, what would you say, like now that you're going through the process on a daily basis, you're learning new things and you're utilizing your knowledge to grow the site. What would you say was the biggest challenges? I think you probably touched on them, but if you were to give some real things that stick out for you as the big challenges.
The big challenge is two things. One, sometimes you forget yourself and you have no more time for yourself. And this is ironic because you create a work because you want to be in charge of your time and you want your freedom, but then you end up forgetting yourself and really giving all your time to this, which is amazing. But sometimes you shouldn't forget yourself and you should be a little bit more organized to find time to do what you love, maybe exercise, maybe I don't know, play music or whatever you like to do. See, this is something I still struggle with until today. Sometimes I get so absorbed in what I'm doing, I forget myself. This is one of the difficulties. Another difficulty is that I am doing this and only this, which means there are months I really struggle a lot financially. There are months I did zero. There are months really I had no income at all. So it's like it gives you some fear. Am I doing the right thing? Is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? But somehow, like recently, I decided to really kind of trust life and let it go and let things happen. If it happens, yes, somehow I believe that no matter what you do, somehow things will work if you're working on them from your heart and you're trying your best. Maybe not this one works, maybe something else will work, but if you're really putting an effort somewhere, somehow, I don't know, things just start flowing at some point. I believe in this.
One of the biggest things here, and I'm thinking when you're speaking, is around how people manage risks and take and make that big leap. Are you suggesting that just give it try and work at it, and somehow if you have the, maybe the word passion is not the right word, but if you have the conviction in what you're doing, then somehow things will work. Is that what you're suggesting? Just take that leap.
Yes, and maybe it's, I don't know if it's a leap, but like a lot of people who are very, very, very successful people that, you know, when you listen to them, they say maybe you have to have a part-time job on the side and then work on whatever you want. I was doing this initially, but then I had to leave my job because of things I wasn't happy with. Ideally, I should have stayed and continued, but I'm the kind of person who, when I'm not happy with something, I just walk away. And that was a big risk, actually, you know, and I don't suggest and I don't recommend
doing that.
Yeah, I don't recommend doing that, but I did it, and it's okay. Like it was very tough, but it's starting to get better, you know, and I think people take risks according to their background and how comfortable they were, you know. Maybe like I am very, very lucky to come from a family that gave me a lot of a sense of security, you know. That security in every way, you know. I'm not even talking about financial security, about everything. So that's why maybe for me, before, I'm not talking about now because it's not the same anymore, but before growing up, I was never afraid of taking risks. I was very courageous, maybe because in the back of my head, I had this thought that if anything goes wrong, you know, I can go back to people who love me and support me, you know. But not everyone is lucky enough to have people who love them and support them. So that's why sometimes we have to be like working in a smart way where we maybe have a backup plan for sure and then start taking risks, you know.
If there was a takeaway recommendation, that would be it. You're not suggesting that people do what you've done, leave the job and then start something. You're suggesting maybe the balance of having something in place and then starting something on the other side is a much...
Maybe. And I'm not really suggesting anything. I'm suggesting that everyone can just assess their own situation and take a step according to what they feel is right for them, you know. I did this and it was a risk. And I said maybe because I had that background. Even when I took the risk now last year, I didn't have a support or nothing. But I think it's just me having this inside my system that everything will be okay because I grew up like that.
I see, yeah. I guess in many of these things, the thing that I take away from what you're just saying is that there's no actually right answer. It's just you got to make the decision for yourself and then see how it works out for you. Because, like you said, you know, if someone was to explain to you, leave your job and start a business, and these are the challenges, you might look at that and go, no, that's not for me. But others might look and say, you know what, I'll give it a go. So I guess the thing is just for people to work out that for themselves.
100%. But I also like to say to anyone that I love that if you like your life and you like your freedom and you feel you have the ability to do something alone without having to be bound to another company, or even like people call some people bosses or my manager or something like that, you know. No, I always tell them do something alone if you can, even if it's difficult, because on the long run it's much better for you, you know.
There's something that comes across quite strongly, even when I've spoken to you before, the idea behind having your freedom, having your independence. And when you talk about not having a boss or calling someone a boss, it kind of lends itself to that. Why is that so strong in everything you say? Just touch upon that. It's just to understand that there is a motivation for how you approach things.
I'm not 100% sure why it's strong in me. I have always been like this ever since I was a kid. I love my freedom and like I do everything for my freedom, you know. And like we spoke, maybe this the impact of my family on me. For example, I come from a family that is amazing, but sometimes in some aspects my parents were a little bit overprotective, but with intention of love, always with the intention of love, you know. And maybe this triggered this in me because I have always been the kind of person who's, you know, I can't settle for what the life is about or what the system we live in is about. I just couldn't. And I do believe that I'm not the only one who's like that. I believe that everyone has, not everyone,
Uh,
a lot of people have this in them,
yeah.
but they just settle with the idea that such is life. No, such is not life. You have much more in you than you can ever imagine, and that's what I like people to see in themselves. And I wish we could reach a world where most of it is like that, you know?
Yeah. When I spoke to you about it, it's one of the things that resonate with me, the idea of what do you regard as freedom and how do you perceive your own freedom, your own personal freedom. And one of the things I didn't recognize is that maybe I take it for granted, so I don't have the same consideration towards it as others may do, which is also something that I would like to reflect on. Not that I need to, I would like to reflect on a little bit more, is that need of making sure that in what you feel is you have freedom to do whatever you need to do, is making sure that you actually take take advantage of the opportunities that gives you, rather than sitting back and taking it for granted that you're always going to have that freedom to you. And for other people, that freedom is so important. It's it's not just a case of just saying, okay, I'm happy with what I've got. It's making the best of what you have.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, we're always calling it freedom or something, but it's maybe not even about freedom. It's just being normal in life. For me, like, making the most of moments of life that
Yeah.
really are, are going away, And
Mm,
for me, this is the most important. For some other people, maybe stability is more important because freedom has its price as well.
mm, mm,
If you have, a lot of times you might have stability, but you don't have the freedom. And a lot of times you have the freedom, but you don't have the stability. And
mm,
your life is a bit risky. You have sometimes anxieties about how things will work. But ideally, maybe we can all reach a stage where we have both
mhm.
stability and freedom, peace of mind, and yeah, and just live life in a way that's not, you're not doing something you don't want.
Mm.
If you're waking up every morning and you're miserable and you're going to work, it's really like you're wasting, what, 8 hours, 9 hours of your day. That's like a bit less than 50%. Okay, take away sleep, that would be more than 50% of your life.
Mhm,
Imagine like you're thrown, if you live until you're, let's say, 100,
mhm,
if I'm being generous,
mhm.
that's 50 years of your life wasted. And that's what I
Yeah,
mean by freedom, not
there-
to waste the life.
there's different perspectives. There's the perspective of the traditional life, when I say traditional, but there's that thing where, you go to study, you get the job, you go to study, you get a job, you buy your property, you start a family, however you mix that up. And for some people, that's comfort. That's, you got your family, you got your home, you got a roof over your head. That's it. You end up paying your mortgage. And quiet people are comfortable with that. But someone else looking at that might say, you know what, in that, throughout that, you have a boss, you work for someone else, and they might get rid of you. So the question is, in that structure, are you really free? Underlining that. And then there are others that say, okay, I might not have a boss, but I have my own business or products or things that I'm selling, and I might not be making myself a huge amount of income, but I still feel that everything I do, I own the business, I own the product, and I own the outcomes and successes are based on me. And for some people, that might make them happy.
Yeah,
That's the big distinction that I'm getting in terms of what you're saying.
yes. But I do believe that more people tend to be happy with the second option, but
Mm.
maybe
It's a
they don't know that they can do it, or they never had the courage to step up to it.
Exactly. That's the other thing when I was talking about risk, is because the second option is very scary, because it comes with it can be very scary. It comes with a lot of unknowns. There's not a lot of certainty, especially when you got on the backdrop, when you got commitments, just like everybody else, rent, mortgage, family, kids, that can be very fearful for people. So it's
100%.
always,
And the
it's always
self-doubt as well. The self-doubt is the biggest factor, and the
exactly.
lack of belief in yourself that you can actually do it. Some people, it doesn't even cross their heads that they're much more than they can, you know?
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing is that what you're suggesting is, and you said it yourself, is that the belief in your own self. Because I'm wondering whether having that belief in yourself is the thing that allows you to manage that risk that comes with the uncertainty of
Well,
having.
maybe not. Yes and no, because it doesn't mean everyone who takes risks believes in themselves. Of course not. There are hundreds of
Oh,
days that I don't believe in myself, and then there are other days I believe in myself. You know, we're humans. We have our ups and downs, and there are areas we feel very strong in them, and we have the confidence, and there are other areas we don't have the confidence in them, you
yeah.
know.
And I'm
But
talking
it,
specifically about the way you have the belief in the sense you have the competence. It's having that feel that, what I'm doing is right and I am capable of doing it in the right way. So once you have that, does that take away? Then you look at the risk. Does that then allow you, gives you the strength and courage to go, I understand the risks, but because of the conviction I have in myself, I'm able to overcome whatever challenges that I'll be faced with. That's what
In
I'm
my
saying.
case, it wasn't like that. In my
Yeah.
case, it was just taking the risk without even believing that I can do it. But
Oh,
I
okay.
really wanted to do
That's
it,
real brave.
you know?
That
And
is
till
real
today,
brave.
I start doubting myself. But only recently, I started realizing, actually, okay, I think it's starting to work, bit by bit,
Mm.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because ultimately you kind of throw yourself in the deep end and you find a way of or you're finding a way of swimming through. And that's where would you say now you're developing your confidence now?
A little bit, yes, sometimes,
Yeah.
and as I say, we are humans.
Mm,
Sometimes it comes, sometimes it goes, and but of course, when you start seeing results, you start believing that okay, things are working. You start having the confidence. But of course, there are other days we will lose it. It's just normal. It's human nature.
mm,
And some areas you have a lot of confidence, and others you don't. And
mm,
it's okay not to have confidence. People are always scared about like having low self-esteem or not being confident enough about doing something. It's okay, it's okay also to have insecurities and accept them. Like, of course, I have a lot of doubts, self-doubts, and insecurities, and I'm very okay with them, and I openly state them, that
mm.
these are, and they will come and go. But um,
I must admit, you opened my eyes to something. It's difficult for me because of my mindset to get my head around. It's almost like saying that, okay, if you were to look at who you are as a person, you can say, I have strengths, I have weaknesses, but actually, whatever I'm challenged with, I'm just going to give it a go, and then through that, I'm just going to work it out, right? As
yes,
opposed to saying, I have strength, I have my weaknesses. I can see that based on my strengths, whatever I'm being challenged with, I can overcome. Scenario A. Scenario B, actually, I have strength, I have weaknesses. Looking at my weaknesses, that challenge that I'm looking at is too big and walking away from it. It's almost like, let's go for it and see what happens. And which is quite interesting, very exciting, but also steep with a lot of risks as well, pitfalls.
yes,
But that's
100%.
what makes life exciting, and that's what you're referring to about your freedom is that, just go for it.
Yeah, but that's why I mentioned I was lucky. Maybe I
Mm,
was one of the lucky people. As I mentioned before, it's all
mm,
about your background and how you grow up and what are your main fears. I was lucky enough to grow up in a background where I had a back. My parents, especially my dad, he was
mhm,
always my backbone, and he still is. Of course, now it's my turn to give back to those people at least a little bit of some of the things that they gave me, because now things change. Life is not as easy as before,
mm.
and people who always supported me, they can't support me anymore. Now I want to support them. But I was lucky, as I said, because that growing up with that mindset made me at least less scared in these areas.
Understood.
You know? Yeah.
So in terms of if someone's come to you for advice and recommendation, what recommendations do you give them to just in terms of starting?
Starting what? It depends on what they are starting.
Or instead of developing like similar to what you're doing in terms of a YouTube channel or looking at, an idea they want to develop from scratch, what would be your suggestions?
Okay, putting the YouTube channel to the side. If somebody comes and says to me, for example, this is one of my favorite games to play actually with my friends. So if somebody wants, let's say, to start something and they don't have the idea, what I used to do, and until today I love doing this, every day I look around, okay? Sometimes I would be sitting on the bus thinking of new ideas. Some of them would be like a surreal, like, do you use the word surreal? Like not from this life, really like a fairy tale or something. But I always try to think, okay, what's missing here? Okay, what can we do to change this? Or always ask myself questions about, I want to come up with an idea. And if you sleep every day with a notebook or on your phone, whatever, you write 3 ideas. I want to create this. I want to create this or this. That you activate your brain to the thought that you want to create something, and then you start having more and more and more ideas until one day you have that one idea that can really, really change everything, and you can go for it. So this is in general for people who want to start something and they don't know what to start with, if they want to develop an idea. But if you have an idea and you want to work on it, as I mentioned, it depends on what is it. Of course, you have to be consistent. You have to try everything that you can, but ideally without forgetting yourself. Like, you can't expect things to work when you're not working on them, and I don't know, you have to keep trying and trying until one day life starts giving you back,
It's almost like the universe opens up the possibilities when you keep those ideas or keep questioning yourself, is what is the idea?
Yeah. And for example, in my case, I didn't create the most amazing idea in the world. It's just a simple idea. But I was thinking to myself, I want to create something on my own. There are so many dreams and so many ideas that I have. I can't achieve. I don't have the competence or the qualification, whatever the word is. Like, I don't have the ability to do them because it's not my area. Okay. So I thought, okay, what do I know how to do? Okay, I need to teach. Okay, let's take teaching. Okay, what can I do with teaching? I can do this, this, and that. So basically, I started with something that I know how to do. Not because, oh my God, it's the best idea. No, because it's the only thing that I know how to do at the moment. Not the only thing, but the best thing that I know how to do is teaching. So that's why I started using teaching. In the future, when there's something I know how to do better than teaching, of course, I might jump to it and do it, Start to have, basically.
Say that again?
So basically, you can start with what you have and grow what you have. Start with your skills. Whatever skill you have, use it and grow it and work on it so much.
It's organic that way, isn't it? It's an organic growth from what you've described, is what you have and then developing that to where it is now. The other thing is, when you were looking into this, did you have any books or sources that you went to? Because you've said you've had to learn a lot of things by yourself. Was there any reference guides that you had?
For example, I used to be a person who reads more, but I used to read like more self-help books and things like that, not really business books. But you know what? With YouTube out there, oh my God, every day whatever question I have in my head, I go there, I type it, I watch a lot of TED Talks, how to create a business, how to overcome fears when you are creating a business, what not to do when you're creating a business, like so many things. I watch TED Talks almost every day. On days that I'm feeling demotivated, I just go there and listen to something motivational on TED Talk as well, And differently, in my case, for example, there is a channel called Think Media, okay? This is a channel that helps YouTubers grow their channels. I'm always listening to them and they helped me a lot, of course. Every day I have a new idea and I try to apply the strategies of YouTube, the marketing strategies, how to create a thumbnail, how long your video should be. For example, recently YouTube likes your video to be long because they can make more money out of it because more people watch your videos. So there's so many tricks that you can use to grow as a YouTuber, and I use these people to grow my channel. And as a YouTuber, I learned a lot. Like if you're a YouTuber, the tricks that you have to do is be consistent with your uploads, create an attractive thumbnail, because people mainly look at your thumbnail before they look at your content. And once they are in your video, your content should be appealing to them. Sometimes you have to do short videos, sometimes you have to do longer videos. The keywords you have to use as a description to the videos, your title, every single detail, your hashtags, all of these are important details you have to think about when you're creating a YouTube channel.
Oh, that's very useful to know.
Identity as well. Like it has to be coherent. You can't open a YouTube channel and have hundreds of thumbnails and things that are not coherent. When you open a YouTube channel, your eyes have to see something beautiful. Like everything is the identity of the channel, the colors, everything should be similar and attractive, in the same way. So that, for example, when people are scrolling down a YouTube, like if they search for something, nowadays, if you said, for example, write learn Arabic or learn Lebanese Arabic, if you're scrolling down, you will notice that you will immediately spot the difference between my thumbnail and others, because it's the same. It's something that has yellow with a little bit of red. So people can immediately associate these colors to a certain channel.
Yeah, I understood. Yeah, it's brand recognition. I think you're referring to. Yeah. In terms of yourself, how do you keep yourself motivated as well? It's like, because it sounds like you did it, like you're saying, there's times where you're not taking time for yourself, personal time, because you're working quite a lot of hours, not a few hours, a lot of hours on this. How do you keep yourself motivated?
How do I keep myself motivated? I really don't know where it comes from, to be honest, especially lately with all of the crazy events and so many struggles I've been through. I sometimes can I give a little bit of credit to myself here? Like even ask myself,
of course you can.
How do I manage to, there are times I think to myself, really, I should be proud of what I'm doing, because really I managed to overcome so many things. I don't even know where it's coming from. The drive in me, maybe the hope or the dream of achieving, your dreams and better days. Hopefully, when all of this finishes, the images of seeing, I don't know, my loved ones happy together. These are the things that are motivating me. The future thoughts that keep me going. And on a daily basis, I promised myself that I'm going to go back to this. What really motivates me is when I dance, when I play the piano. So I have been ignoring these. But every time I sit back and I sit at my piano, I'm teaching myself. I'm still a baby pianist, yeah? Mm-hmm. So when I sit there, I start thinking, okay, this is what I love. This is what keeps me going, And this is why I'm doing all of that. Okay. So I promised myself that I'm going to start doing this today, not tomorrow, today.
Awesome. Good luck with the piano stuff, because piano is not easy. You're taking on another big task as well there, it sounds like.
Yes, but it's doable. If you like it, it's doable. I have a keyboard, not a piano, so.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was how do people get in contact with you, attend your classes, social media and stuff? Is there things that you can share in terms of your social media, your websites and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'm still working on my website, but I do have it. It's www.globetrotwitharabic.com. It's still under construction. And I actually just got a message from the person I'm working with, pushing me, come on, you have to send me the things so that we can finish the website. So that's one thing. And mainly I have my Instagram channel, which is, again, Globetrot with Arabic, my Facebook page, Globetrot with Arabic, and my email address, which is my name, Chaghig, at globetrotwitharabic.com. I am always available to answer any questions there. Chaghig at globetrotwitharabic.com. Or drop me a message on Instagram. That's how people get in touch with me.
Okay, fantastic. Sharik, did I say it there? Sharik.
Almost. It was better than before. Initially, you said Chaghig. Now, at least you're saying Sharik, which is fine. Which is a good, like 50% of the way.
Oh, okay. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. One fascinating thing that I find about language was that there's certain words in every language that, to me, makes it alive for me, makes it memorable. Some of the fun words that I find, like for example, if in I think it's Polish, if you say it's not my it's not my circus, it's not my monkey, it means it's not your problem. In German, if you say, I believe my pig's whistling, you say that when something's unbelievable. Is there something similar in Arabic that you can share?
A lot. What can I say?
Like a fun one that I can take away, because I like collecting these words as well.
Okay, there is one that came to my head that I already put it on my YouTube channel. It's when you're sitting with people and they are talking about a topic that you really don't understand about, and like maybe they are so much into it and you're not getting any word, or maybe they're speaking another language and you don't understand the language. We say مثل الأطرش بالزفة. What does this mean? It's like you are like a deaf person in a zaffe. A zaffe is the dance troupe that's very loud and noisy that comes to your wedding. They are the ones who open the party, basically. There's a dance troupe with with lots of musical instruments and like they are very loud with clapping and drums and all of that.
Yeah.
So they open a wedding and then the bride and groom follow, right? So that's very noisy. So if you are a deaf in this party, you wouldn't hear any of the noise going on in this party. Okay. So basically, if you are sitting with people and you're not understanding any of the things that they are saying, you say you are like a deaf in a wedding dance, which means you're not understanding anything.
You're like a deaf in a wedding dance. Okay, I'll put that down on my list.
Yeah. Which means I can't do anything.
Say that in Arabic. Repeat that in Arabic.
Mittel, which means like or just like. Mittel.
Yeah. Mittel.
Mittel. Il-atrash. Atrash means deaf. Atrash. And il-atrash, the il at the beginning means the. So when you say mittel il-atrash, it means like the deaf. مثل الأطرش, you pronounce it with a liaison. بالزفة, and زفة is this wedding dance troupe. بالزفة in the dance troupe. So the whole thing together, Mate, say it. مثل الأطرش بالزفة, pronounced as بالزفة. Say it.
مثل الأطرش بالزفة.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
الأطرش بالزفة.
Oh, awesome. No, but this is actually really good because I guess it also gives people insight into your teaching style, because if I can pronounce something almost, then it just shows how easy I find your classes to follow online. So for anyone who's interested, please go check out the YouTube channel and stuff. A couple of things I missed. One of them is that you speak Arabic, English, and French. Is there any other languages?
Yes, and Armenian, because as
Armenian,
I also have Armenian roots. So at home with my mom and dad, we speak Armenian. And I also speak, I can't say I speak Italian. Let me say half Italian. Because
Where did you learn the Italian from?
On my own, because 10 years ago, I was meant to go to Italy and study music there in the Conservatorio di Firenze. I wanted to study singing, but it didn't work because of my paperwork and all of that. So I was studying Italian on my own. And I can speak like very slowly. And if they speak slowly, I can understand. But if they go, you know how Italians go, da, 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 I don't understand anything. But if they speak slowly, I can manage to understand and speak back, you know?
Oh, hold on. There's a lot to unpack. I'm not going to try and do that now. You can sing?
Yes, I can sing. Mate, I sing better than I dance. I never
No,
told you.
well, oh no, you didn't. You never ever. Oh, do you
But
have anything online? Anything that we can
this
references
is
we
one
can?
of my biggest fears. I feel very, very, very shy when I sing. So I try not to. But one day I will. Like one day this is something I'm
Oh,
gonna
oh,
like.
hold on. You sing better than you dance. You must be a very good singer. Where is the? We have to see the
It's hidden.
evidence.
It's hidden. I feel very, very shy and some insecure about it.
So the challenge is you have a secret YouTube channel somewhere with you singing. Is that what you're saying?
That's not like a secret thing. That's something I'm thinking about doing with my sister because my sister also sings very, very well. She can sing opera, and we used to sing together a lot. And it's
Opera.
something which I think, yes, she's really, really good. Oh my God, her voice when she goes like, "Wah!"
Yeah.
Like really, really like.
I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert, but I know that there are different styles in opera. What style is your singing and your sister?
Okay, I'm not even very good at the names, but there is soprano. Soprano is
Oh,
when
yes,
you
soprano. Yep.
yeah, and there's mezzo soprano. Mezzo soprano is like up, not a little bit, not the low one, but like the upper end. That's
Mm.
I think my voice is more like mezzo soprano. Yes.
Okay. So, and you're going to tell us how to find your last song or rendition of something, or not?
That was me alone. So,
Oh,
but
that's really cool. I had no idea that you also sang.
like it's funny. If somebody tells me to sing, like even if it's family or friends, okay, yalla Chaghig, sing. I
Mm.
just I feel like I'm frozen or something. But if there's a lot of people, I've done it before, like, I don't know, singing like at university or, in a karaoke or something, like when there's a lot of people, I kind of forget myself and I do it. But when it's
Mm.
just really very personal, it takes a lot of time for me to open up, only when it comes to singing, although I am very open in other things. But when it comes to singing, I feel very shy or very, I don't know what's the word. Takes time for me to start letting go and
If you're ever in a situation and you got some material to share, please do share. I'm really
yeah.
curious now to hear the sounds. Is there anything else? I feel like I have to ask this question because there might be something else there out there that you like to say or share.
Well, I don't know. Nothing is coming to my head now, but mm, if you have any questions, just ask and I'll answer.
I think for me, I want to say thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate this. I think what I was trying to do, and I hope that we managed to achieve that, is get an idea of someone who has pursued this quest for freedom. And in doing so, she's managed to create content out there for other people to share in terms of the Arabic language. And it's that journey that I found really interesting and fascinating. And I believe that I will learn quite a bit from that as well. And especially about, risk taking and the approach to risk taking, because as I was mentioning before, I got the impression that, there are different approaches, and it's always nice to have an idea that, you can try something and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Well, thank you for finding something interesting.